Writing program objectives. Goals and objectives in program planning offer us many benefits, such as defining what we want the program to accomplish, providing an opportunity for appropriate evaluation, determining if our program is appropriate for the target audience, communicating our intentions to others, such as supervisors, or even more importantly, the money providers. They also guide us in the selection of instructional methods and strategies. Goals versus objectives. Goals are broad, long-term, far-reaching, and you want to think big. Objectives are specific, immediate, and you want to think smart. SMART, as you probably have heard before, stands for specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant or realistic, and time-based. Time-based to the length of your program. So what do we want our audience to gain from our program? Do we want them to know more information, learn something new, understand more, be more likely to do something, maybe be less likely to do something? Maybe we want them to feel more capable of doing something, and then we want them to be able to actually do something, such as a skill. Let's think back to the big picture and what it is that we want to achieve as professionals, having an impact with our programs. How do we achieve that? We could teach our audience a bunch of facts and statistics and new information. We could also motivate them to want change, to be more likely to do something. We could also teach them some actual physical skills. All of this is related to learning objectives: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. As you can see, cognitive, related to just learning new information, is the furthest away from having an impact with our program. But as we involve the different types of objectives, we're more likely to have the impact that we want. There are also various considerations to keep in mind when writing, learning, or program objectives. For example, maturity of the learner. If we were covering dental health for 5th graders versus dental health for 50-year-olds, a lot of the information would overlap, but there would be some aspects that wouldn't fit the younger audience that would fit the older audience. So there may be a difference in the coverage of content, but also the depth and breadth of content. What if we wanted to teach an audience how to actually wash their hands as far as materials and equipment available? Are we required to have sinks and soap available? Or is it possible that we could do a simulation? What can we achieve with a group of 100 people versus a group of 25 people? And as for the time of day, some of you have experienced this yourself. How does your 8 a.m. class go versus your 1 p.m.? Within program planning and evaluation, there are different types of objectives to consider. Process objectives address how well the program is being implemented as planned. Outcome objectives are more long-term, far-reaching. Impact objectives are the ones that we will address in 420. Those objectives that are immediate to the impact of our program. For impact objectives, there are 3 domains: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Cognitive objectives, as mentioned before, address the new knowledge that is gained from the program. Affective deals with attitudes and feelings that change in relation to making the behavior improvement. Psychomotor is about learning new physical skills, actually learning how to do something. Here are some guidelines for writing impact objectives. Begin with making a list of what you hope you want your audience to gain from your program. Just jot down the ideas. Then ask yourself more specifically what you want them to gain from your program. Assess whether your program will be enough for them to be able to make the changes, your instruction. Is it worthwhile or purposeful? It's interesting how we oftentimes provide people with a lot of statistics and numbers. Is that enough to make the change for them? And then try to state each specific item as a behavioral objective. So what are the parts of a self-contained impact objective? We will use A, B, C, D, E. A is for audience, your participant, the student, the parent, the college student. B is the behavior, not in the sense of what sort of behavior change we're hoping for. I know this part's a little confusing, but behavior as in an action verb for the statement. C is condition, D is degree of success, E is evaluation or evidence of success. So let's try a statement. Following the sorting game, the team will be able to list and describe on a worksheet 7 out of 10 drug categories. Who is the audience? What is the verb, the behavior here? What is the condition? What is the degree of success? And what is our evidence for evaluating this? Did you get that correct? Our audience is the teen. B is will be able to list and describe. C is following the sorting game. The condition can also be upon completion of the program. And that statement or that phrase, upon completion of the program, can be used for every objective you write. D in this case is 7 out of 10 drug categories. That means you covered 10 categories in the program and you are using 7 out of 10 as your measurement of success. And where will they indicate, where will they list and describe the 7 out of 10 drug categories? On the worksheet. Let's try another one. Let's try another example. After the Q&A session with the panel, the participant will indicate on the sensitivity scale a greater willingness to support other lifestyles according to a positive change in their score. So, after the Q&A session is our condition. It could also be upon completion of the program. The participant, our audience. For the verb, will indicate willingness. Willingness related to supporting other lifestyles, but the verb itself is will indicate willingness. The degree of success that we want or change is we now want them to have a greater willingness after attending our program. E is on the sensitivity scale. That is the evidence of where they will indicate what their willingness is after our program. According to a positive change in their score is additional information that explains the direction that we want this reporting to occur, but that statement is not necessary. We could remove that and still have a correctly written, self-contained objective. Remember when I said we borrow best practices from the field of education? We do the same with learning objectives. Learning objectives in the education field are based strictly on Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy addresses how learning is a process, and there are different levels of involvement. The most basic on information, remembering, recalling, then we move to the understanding. That's where we address the cognitive objectives. But as we start to become more involved, the learning, the impact of the learning becomes greater. Here's a list of verbs that are appropriate for impact objectives. Notice how to know, K-N-O-W, is not part of the list. Also, to understand is not part of the list. Those are too vague, too general, or I should say too generic. We want to make sure that we are specific. We want them to be able to define, to list, to calculate something. Those are the types of verbs that we want to use for the impact objectives. And here are some additional tips for writing impact objectives. Use clearly defined verbs. Remember, that's the be part of the statement. State the verbs in future tense. They will be able to, or they will indicate. State a specific means to measure your success. On the evaluation form, by a show of hands. On the exit ticket. That is your E, or evidence for evaluation. Physical skills are assessed by instructor's observation. We are the instructor. We are the professional. We are the expert. We are the ones that will teach the skill, have the audience members practice the skill, and then we will assess whether they can demonstrate the skill directly. And we will assess this by watching them. So, as assessed by instructor's observation. Lastly, confirm your objectives represent all that's included in the program plan. Do your checks and balance. Now it's time for you to start practicing how to write impact objectives. So, apply your topic number 1 or your unit plan topic that you will be getting soon. You will write 3 cognitive, 3 affective, and 3 psychomotor objectives for your topic and related to the audience that you choose. Make sure that all parts are included. Then follow through and do the color coding, because that's an excellent way to self-check your work. You then submit the Google Doc or upload the Word doc to me. I will go through and check them. I will give you feedback, and then you can turn it back into me, and we can go through this editing process as many times as you want until the due date. The due date is set in Canvas, so check that. But you do have several days to complete this. The sooner you get started, the better. You can send me 1 objective at a time, 3 objectives at a time. It doesn't matter, but the best thing is to go ahead and get started and practice. Send me something so that I can give you the feedback. Make it a great day.